How's everyone tonight? Hope you're well. So tonight's talk is Chan and daily practice, daily life. It's a very ordinary topic, Chan, daily life. Could be understood as ordinary. It could be quite profound. As a tradition, Chan emerged as a countercultural movement within Buddhism, specifically within scholastic Buddhism. So when Buddhism transmitted from India to China, went through different phases. From 1st century onward until the emergence of Chan. 7th century, 8th century, as a self-conscious movement. Of course, there are precedents for that. But prior to Chan, the emergence of Chan as a tradition, what was happening in China was receiving this foreign tradition, religion. Missionaries coming to China, engage in translation. And the translation process is a kind of dialectical process of mistakes and new offshoots through the lens of Taoism. So you see the early translations of different Buddhist scriptures. Of course, these scriptures went through multiple translations, some of them. Precisely because the early translations, the Chinese on the receiving end was trying to fathom this foreign religious tradition, practice, a completely different orientation to one's self and our place in the world, and the nature of the self and the world is very different from China. So trying to fathom through the categories, the words and language that the Chinese had at hand, translating the Buddha as the great immortal, translating terms like skandhas, the 5 aggregates: form, sensation, perception, conception, volition, consciousness. Sometimes translated perception, sometimes translated as conception. So these 5 skandhas, translating the skandhas as the yin of the yin-yang, right? Dialectic. So it's just wrong translations. So, but through that mistake, emerged new ways of understanding Buddhism. Of course, there's better translations from the 4th century onward. They come to China of Kumara Jiva. So this process of first phase of kind of mistranslations. Second phase, once you have better translation, the Buddhists in China really understood what Buddhism was about. Wrote treatises, commentaries, centering on scriptures, the classics, developing different systems of thought around these particular scriptures. This phase is what I called scholastic Buddhism. It's like diagnosing, analyzing, theorizing what Buddhism is really talking about. Of course, Buddhism contains thousands of scriptures. So it's not like the Judeo-Christian tradition. It's one Bible at most, a commentary. There's thousands of scriptures. So these translations, had kind of internal conflicts. And being the Chinese tradition, something very unique happened during the second phase of scholasticism. That is, doctrinal classification, classifying, harmonizing, integrating different scriptures, placing them in its map of the Buddhist tradition, finding it in its right place, right? What's the elementary level teaching? What's the intermediate? What's the advanced and the ultimate, based on certain scriptures? So, Chan tradition, and this went on for a few centuries. Right? So Chan emerged as a tradition that sought to move away from scriptures, to bring the Buddha Dharma down from the clouds, embody it in one's own life. Thus, you have the Chan tradition's 4 axioms. Right? The teaching outside of the scriptures. Of course, these 4 axioms can only make sense in this context of scholastic Buddhism. So, first axiom, it is a tradition independent from words and language. Outside of the scriptures. Direct pointing to the heart, the mind. I'm using these two, mind, heart, as one. Seeing one's true nature, self-nature, becoming a Buddha. So brought Buddhahood down from the clouds into the lives of practitioners. Instead of this aloof, distant, unreachable goal, Chan brought it down into the daily life of people. So its positionality within the whole of Buddhism at that time, everywhere, everywhere, whether it's India, whether it's other parts of regions. Tibet didn't even have Buddhism yet during that time. Tibet received Buddhism in the 8th, 9th century, right? 7th, 8th, 9th centuries. This is quite early. Right? And South Asia, Southeast Asia, very unique phenomena. Reinterpreted, repositioned traditional teachings to be something quite concrete, relevant to and practical to the lives of people. So the Chan approach to practice, spiritual practice, the whole orientation, quite different than other Buddhist traditions at the time. And this unique quality of cutting to the chase, kind of getting right down to what is at the core of the teaching, awakening. And how is it possible to make it accessible in people's lives? So, of course, the word Chan is an abbreviation of Channa, which is a transliteration, not a translation, transliteration of the sound, the Sanskrit word, dhyana, right? Dhyana. So with the Chinese penchant for abbreviation, cutting to the chase, practical, direct access to things, this tendency. Of course, it just dropped the second character, na, just Chan. So in the early text, Chan text, or rather meditation text manuals, jhana or meditation means something very different. So by the 7th, 8th century, the Buddhists witnessed a kind of internal revolution, reinterpretation. Different regions, different pockets had their own interpretation, right? Connected but regionally developed, but all center around this something practical. So Chan morphed from meditation to wisdom. So the blending of wisdom and meditation into one. What is this wisdom? It's the core teaching of Dharma. And moving away from gradualistic, hierarchical, sequential way of practicing, learning, studying the scripture and the words and language, to the direct pointing of the transformation of one's mind, one's vexations. So several shifts. Right? Chan no longer means meditation. Chan, of course, the precursor. Japan wasn't even on the scene yet. This is 12th century. Right? So this is something happening within China. So the word Chana moved away from the limited, narrow definition of meditation. So it's no longer about meditation, seated meditation specifically. And that's number one. Number two, Chan took on new flavors of meaning to mean Buddhahood, to mean wisdom. Right? That means the union of, you can say, meditation and wisdom, samadhi and prajna. And cutting to the chase, to move away from the external trappings of this Buddhist religious tradition into the core, the center, in the midst of daily life. So, meditation, of course, is very central within the Chan Zen tradition. But this meditation is no longer limited to seated posture. So they are developed through several generations. A self-conscious movement away from this gradualist, it should be a sudden approach. You can call it bypassing, right? Spiritual bypassing approach in a positive way to the core of Buddha Dharma. Hence, you have these four axioms of teaching outside, not dependent on words and language. So it's a wordless teaching, the wordless Dharma. The ineffable. Right? All words are constructs, narratives, whether it's Buddhist or secular. Right? These are human constructs. It doesn't, and with constructs, the nature of words itself is evasive. Right? The nature of words. is to separate things, clarifies, right? And with different categories, labels. So teaching outside words and language, special teaching independent of scriptures, what the scriptures point to. So the analogy is scriptures like finger pointing at the moon. Right? It's not really the finger that's important. It's the moon of our heart, of our mind, the moon of awakening. Direct pointing to the heart of things and realize Buddhahood through seeing self-nature. In other words, from the external trappings or lofty teachings, move it down from the clouds into one's heart. It is about the mind dharma, the mind teaching. Mind here does not mean some kind of cerebral mental process. It includes the heart. Now we tend to see things in terms of kind of mind versus heart. But the Chinese use one word, xing, to be all-inclusive, right? Because it's not separate. You can't really separate the things. The different aspects, different dimensions of our being are integrated. Right? So, John, how did it practically bring it down from the clouds? It no longer placed great emphasis in seated meditation, instead in daily life. Now, it's not a new invention, that this emphasis in daily life. The chaos, commotion, ups and downs and turmoils of daily life to be the arena of spiritual practice. That's not the invention of Chan. Already in later developed Mahayana scriptures talks about it this way. Samsara as nirvana. This is the arena in which Bodhisattva practitioners reach Buddhahood. It's not to run away from it. It's to fully engage with, equipped with the Bodhisattva practices. So what Chan did was simply begin to embody this ideal, abstracted kind of Mahayana scriptural ideal into lived experiences. Right? So a whole tradition evolved around that. So this means every aspect of life becomes opportunities to practice. Now you must have a foundation. Mind you that if you don't have a foundation, then you would practice relying on that which you have always relied on, which is words and language, taking some old Chan master's teaching as some kind of sacred scripture and hold on to it, attach to it, as if it's some kind of a ultimate truth. So that defeats the whole purpose. So who the audience? Under what circumstances did this teaching evolve, this tradition evolve? Within the monastic tradition. So these, we're talking about monks and nuns, already familiar with precept, the scriptures, meditation practice. So they have a foundation. And it's on top of this foundation that one can take a step forward, beyond. Right? If you don't have the foundation, then seated meditation is necessary. Right? Otherwise, you just rely on your discursive thinking, imagination, ruminations, right? The constructs. So we have a name for that in Chan. A critique of people that talk like that. It's called the words Chan, wording about Chan, or literate Chan. Right? So these are people just mouthing about Chan. They can't really embody it. As soon as vexations come, they don't see it as opportunity. They're sucked into the vortex, and they have all kinds of vexations, right? Emotional afflictions. So greed, hatred, ignorance, readily present. Right? So these people just all talk, no practice. So we have that also in contemporary time. There's always going to be people like that. It's fine. Sooner or later, they'll come to realize the importance of embodiment of this path, and hopefully seek out teaching. So one of the concrete ways Chan tradition embodied this happened kind of unintentionally. Historical circumstances such that socio-political upheavals within China, with various persecutions, imperial state persecution of Buddhism, because Buddhism was growing like mushrooms, right? So these institutions, monasteries, very powerful, a lot of clout. And with the rise and fall of different emperors, it's always been this ambivalent relationship between state and religion. Some of these emperors, they're staunch Taoists or Confucians, so they persecute Buddhism. So some of the harshest persecution was in the 9th century. And some of the doctrinal schools within Buddhism really took a lot of damage, destruction. They depend on words. They have right treatises. They depend on Buddhist statues, do their rituals around these apparatuses. So never really fully recovered some of these doctrinal schools. But Chan, the government persecuted, they want laicize, meaning having monks forcibly return them back to lay life. So laicize them, confiscate monastery statues, wealth, buildings, turn it into schools, turn it into Taoist temples. So a lot of this. So since China is the formless teaching, right? Not dependent on the external trappings, it's fine. You want me to grow my hair? Fine. You chase me out, make me a layperson? Fine. So the Chan really survived these persecutions, right? One of which was in the mid-9th century. All the monasteries destroyed, and people moved to the mountains, and these communities of practitioners, laicized. And some of them remained their monastic identity, but they just went in hiding. They didn't have anything to live. The Chan monastery is the term for Chan monasteries. And that is forests, as in like trees, forests. Why is that? It dates back to that time. People were just living in the wilderness. So they hand build their monasteries. So how do they do that? They took their practice to daily life, carrying water, building shacks so they can practice together. Now, one day without work, one day without food. Everyone's got to contribute, including the abbot. So this spirit of Chan continued, became part of the identity. Chan embodied in daily life. And many of these monks during this time sojourned to different teachers, right? Because they're all dispersed, spread out, different regions, mountains, and so on. Because the cities are just really dominated by government, right? So it was seen as a threat. So a lot of the Barnes and Noble, Borders, books, store translations of old Chan masters, discourse records, and so on took shape during that time. You see, one monk sojourned to different monasteries, asked this monk for teaching, asked that master to teach him some interaction. It's basically in this context. Right? And lineages began to form around different teachers in these forest traditions. And their practice was communal living, right? Everyone must take part. Cook is practice. Tending the fire is practice. Getting the firewood, chopping wood is practice. Carrying water. There's no water readily available. You gotta go down to the river. And you gotta come back up to the site where people practice. And what do? That inconvenient state. You gotta plant your own vegetables, then you eat them, and you take care of, nutrients for the vegetables. What is that? Human feces. So you eat the vegetable, and their bodies are, trust me, the bodies are cleaner than modern people. And they mix with soil, and they, depending on nature, they live off the land. So this has always been central. So when we have, even now, when we have the Chan tradition moving out of the monastic wall into late societies, modern time, in Chan retreats, something very unique, right? Different than other forms of Buddhism. What is that? Work practice. Everyone, I pay money on retreat to go to work and clean the Chan hall, clean the toilet. Yeah, this is very unique, but that comes from that time. It became part of the identity, the spirit of Chan. Sitting meditation is part of the practice, of course. Nothing really special than other Buddhist traditions. It's just part of the regimen. Study as well. But the heart of the practice for Chan practitioners, monastic or lay, they know this is something that must be integrated into life. What is the practice then? It's called the inner path. Ordinarily, people's minds are swirled about by causes and conditions, the ups and downs, social, political, familial, individual conditions. Things are unstable. We can't depend on that for our own sanity. It's a precarious way to live. So the kind of inner stability, anchor, groundings, in the midst of difficulty, our mind is not swirled about by it. That is what defines sitting. Right? So even the Chan reinterpreted Zazen, sitting meditation, 坐禅. Right? The definition of 坐 or za, or sitting. Right? Nothing to do with posture. Now you can just take a look at the Platform Sutra, right? The sixth ancestral teacher of the Chan tradition. How do they define sitting? Unwavered by circumstances. So you can be unwavered when you're doing work. That's what people are doing, training themselves. In difficult times, challenging times, ambivalent situations that they find themselves. Their mind is not stirred up. Not to be a stoic, fully aware, engaged. Why is that? Because of the principle of meditation. So sitting, unwavered. How do they define meditation? Seeing self-nature. Seeing self-nature. That's meditation. So wisdom, see? Meditation is identified with wisdom. So even the term zazen, sitting meditation, is understood as unwavered, fully engaged. Yet in the midst of it all, wisdom is present. Right? What is that wisdom? Selflessness. Selflessness. Right? Sometimes it's called emptiness. Not an abstract notion. The emptiness, how I define it, is relationship in the midst of everything. Right? So guogu is made up of non-guogu. Nothing possessible. No ownership. Yet fully utilize what is present. So I'll get to how that practically plays out a little later. So, in the midst of the complexity of life, how this translates to our modern time, we must, if you practice Chan, you must learn, of course, to have a good foundation. To have a good foundation. If you don't have a meditation foundation, like how Chan arose within the monastic walls, they have good foundation, right? In meditation. You must have a good foundation, but you must know that Chan is not sitting meditation. Right? It's life itself. And what is life? The ups and downs that you experience. We are bearing witness to upheavals of racial violence, of various movements that highlights the way we discriminate against others, the way we take on privileges for ourselves unawarely. So the process of exposing all these things. It is precisely in the midst of this that we are not sucked into the vortex, yet we fully engage. Fully engage. And if you see yourself engaging and you are being criticized, or you are, giving rise to vexations, feeling emotionally distraught, then you have to come back to the foundation. Come back to that foundation. That means the foundation is not solid. So when you're in good foundation, then you engage again. Right? To whatever level you're able to. Right? Because Chan practice is about relationship. If something is more difficult for you, and you can't really face it at this time, you bring it into your awareness. Right? You leave it at the corner of your mind. Right? Slowly you can bring it so you can really face it. Really face it. If you cannot, put it in the corner. Don't dismiss it. Don't run away from it. Don't be sucked into it. So, life is the path. Relationship is the principle. In the midst of relationship, there's no self. We must be present to all. But if we get ourselves, our own narrative into it, it's very difficult to come out of it. So to truly be present, we have to give ourselves so much space that ourself is absent. Not so get caught up in it. Right? Our own narratives, personal histories, we can see what needs to be done. For example, So what I've been talking about is what practice is, right? But this is not, even for Chan practitioners, very difficult, especially for people that bring to practice their own ideas on what they think practice is. So they see practice as meditation. They see practice as awakening, so they kind of chase after. They have a fixed idea of what practice is. Right? There is no fixation in relationships as in Chan teachings. Right? Chan teachings emerge in the interaction, in the in-between dynamics between teacher, student, between two people, between two groups of people. Right? So there's no fixed teachings. It's formless. But a lot of practitioners still attached to form. For example, one of the greatest Chan masters, Da Hui Zhonggao, great advocate of the Huatou practice, Koan. He's the hero of Japanese Rinzai Zen, right? Hakuin, in the 18th century. So he has a student. His name is Dao Qian. Right? Been practicing with Da Hui, this great master, for 20 years. And all Da Hui did was just tell him to run some errands, go to carry this letter to this lay person's house, do this and do that. So all along, Dao Qian's been thinking, is he withholding some secret teaching to me? Why do other people get to sit in the meditation hall or do the work, and I'm always get stuck doing errands for him? So he's been waiting for the Chan teachings, as if running errands, doing menial labor is not Chan. So he has this fixed idea. Right? So the last time, Dao Hui wrote a letter to Zhang Jiuchen, great literati, very influential, wrote a letter to him. Dao Qian, take the letter to him. Have to sojourn through mountains and so on. And he's really frustrated. He's about to leave. Again, I don't get to practice. This teacher just makes me do these things. And then his Dharma brother, Zhong Yuan, found out. I said, let me tell you, let me make a deal with you. I'll go with you. Zhong Yuan was awakened. Dao Qian obviously has this fixed idea of what practice is. That became his obstruction. See? Any fixation, any hang-ups you have, whatever you can let go of, that's your obstruction. So Dao Qian has got himself into this ball of angst, dis-ease. Now, his life is pretty simple as a monk. He just run errands, do his menial labors. So his mind was kind of collected, except this one thing, that his heart, and hang up. So Zhong Yuan took a look at him, saw what's happening. Says, let me go with you. Let me make you a deal. All you need to do, I'll take care of everything. I'll be your attendant. All you need to do is wear your clothes, eat, pee, poop, and sleep. I'll carry your bag, I'll take your letter, we'll get there and you can hand it over. I'll be your attendant. So, but you have to promise that's all that you do. And take care of this. Take care of this, that which you feel inside. So, they got on a trip. Very briefly, he was able to, his Dharma brother was really able to help him, gave him the secret to practice. Right? That is, no obstructions, no hang-ups. That's the secret. Not relying on anything. Put it down. So, on the beginning of the trip, right, this guy's got 20 years under his belt. Whatever practice he was doing, I'm sure he's reading scriptures, he's reading, different Chan text. By that time, 12th century, there was text circulating Chan. But he's just developed this wonderment, a sense of dis-ease. Right? Where is the teaching? Where is the true 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 teaching? Why am I not given the true teaching? Develop this, and then Zhongyuan helped him not fall into the trip. Put clothes on, ate, he peed. When it's time to poop, he pooped. Time to sleep, he slept. Great awakening. Finally, when he was able to just do what's present at him, put down everything that he has constructed, including his wonderment. He just put it down. Then the gateless barrier of awakening opened for him. He turned to Zhongyuan and says, "Thank you. Brother, no need to travel with me anymore. I'll carry the letter to him." He realized practice. But people typically have some fixations, notions that they're carrying. Now, if we reflect that to our lives, he was a monastic, he's just got one baggage that he needed to put down. How many baggages do we have? A lot, right? We worry about this. We're hung up about that. Our daily life, we're caught up with this. Now, the moral of the story is not to put down everything. Literally, I have the leisure to do that. The moral of the story is the principle of this wordless mind dharma teaching. You have to cut through and see what is at hand. You have to see through the veil of all the narratives, all the baggage that we carry, some of which are very deep and have shaped our very identity, our very life. They're very important to us, these different values. Values of race, values that we've experienced discrimination, values of learned, implicit biases that we hold, privileges that we own, projections that we have on others. So some of these are very deeply ingrained. So we need to face them. We need to accept them. We need to see the workings of these conditions, how they have shaped our life. And we have to learn to engage but disentangle from them. The more entangled we are, that's all that we're ever going to be, just those values. Do they shape us, bring meaning in our lives? Yes. But they also carry with it whatever truth that they have. They also carry with it the flaws, the vexations. So truth and vexations. right and wrong. This is the entanglement of the world. You can't have one without the other. Within all good, there's also potentially not so good. Within the not so good, there's also the silver lining. How deeply we are defined shapes our decisions. So we must see that clearly. Accept them. Work with them. But have the ability to put them down, to be free from them. To be able to put ourselves out of the situation. That's very difficult, especially that which you have so much vested interest and history in. Very difficult. Very difficult to put it down. That's where practice is. Whatever you cannot put down. It may be very good. It may be wholesome. It may be who you are. But whatever you cannot put down, that becomes your obstacle. So there's a story of maybe a fable. This great learned monk carries with him, his back then is just kind of like this rack that people carry with books in them. Nowadays we've designed school bags, but back then it's just kind of like wooden rack in which they can hold a lot of things. They can hold Buddha statues, they can hold their scriptures, and the monks carry sojourn from one place to another. He's always carrying this with him. Went to a Chan master, greatly attached to it. These are that which he values so much. The Chan master says, "What do you got there?" He says, "The great scriptures, the Buddhist text." He says, "Look again." He opened it. There's a snake in it. So the point of that story is, whatever we attach to, hold on to, identify, it doesn't matter what it is. Whatever we have vested interest in, we're bound by it. We're tethered to it. We're not free. And the point is not to disengage. That's wrong also. Run away. Let me just disentangle from everything there. That is also wrong. That itself is one of the greatest entanglements. Right? Practice based on some notion, some idea of detachment, of what true practice is. And all that is just knowledge, constructs. Right? Practice is your life. So in this practice, we learn to face, to discover, and to accept them. There are history. It's a real history that made our life meaning. Yes, you must work through them. You must be present to them. But the point is not to wallow in them, entangle yourself deeper and deeper. You must develop the ability to be free from them, to be able to put yourself out, right? Take yourself out of the situation. This is very easy to actually see how vested we are in the things that we do. Board meetings where people share their opinion of things, how you hold on to your own idea, right? Your own views of things. Right? And we demand other people to accept. Right? So teachers do this as well. Right? So teachers are also practicing. People bring to teachers a lot of expectations. Right? And sometimes they criticize teachers Right? So teachers may have to apologize. It's all good. The point is, in the midst of this, is your heart at ease? Are you free? Are you free? That is Chan daily life practice. That's what practice is. So, do we need sitting meditation? Yes, you need a foundation if you don't have good foundation. Right? And we need discipline. Right? We need to learn to at least expose what is happening within us. Right? So we can see the mind's pattern, the mind's negative tendencies, and then the real life situations in your life, what you're working with. That is the greatest blessing that you have, to bring to life the wisdom of Chan, the wisdom, your own resources, your own freedom, wisdom and compassion as you relate to others. So there are more that can be said about this, but I'll stop here tonight.